Hey y'all! Pokemon Crystal using only Totodile was better late than Gator, and this week should be very exciting. I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Red using only one Lapras. As usual, the rules are we can only use one Lapras in battle, and I can't use any items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Lapras is a water and ice type Pokemon that is best known for transporting trainers across the ocean. In fact, it was the overworld sprite for the first two games while using Surf, and was even a special ride Pokemon in the games X, Y, Let's Go Pikachu, and Let's Go Eevee. Lapras has also been compared to the Loch Ness Monster, a cryptid in the vein of Sasquatch which is said to reside in the lakes of Scotland. As for the viability in the actual games, Lapras has a long history of various competitive viability in the official VGC metagame, well, depending on the year and format, but what about in Pokemon Red? It's got pretty great stats all around, and 130 base HP is honestly incredible. Plus, a special stat of 95 is really good, both offensively and defensively, especially when you consider the fact that Lapras' best moves are water and ice type. Its attack and defense are also good, and its worst stat, a base speed of 60, doesn't even really matter that much. I mean, we've won with far worse in the past, so I'm confident that this is gonna go very well. Either way, rudder or not, here I come. Off at Professor Oak's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Squirtle with Lapras so that our rival will pick Bulbasaur. And by the end of the run, the rival's Venusaur will know Razor Leaf, which always critical hits, making it the hardest starter for Lapras to handle. And Lapras is a boat-like Pokemon known for helping trainers cross the waves, so I nickname ours Tide Ride. And look, I know some people don't like my nicknames and puns, but don't worry, I just drown them out. Lapras starts off with Water Gun and Growl. Water Gun is resisted by the rival's Grass-type Bulbasaur, but even so, our special is so much higher by comparison that we're still doing pretty decent damage. And Bulbasaur may be a pushover now, but that won't be the case as soon as it gets Vine Whip. After all, you know how the saying goes, loose whips sink ships. By the time I made it to Pewter City, Lapras was only level 6, less than half of the level of Brock's Rocks, but that ain't no thing. Water Gun is double super effective against those two igneous idiots, so they don't stand a chance against our weaponized wetness. Well, I guess Onix did manage to survive a Water Gun, but it didn't do anything but screech at us anyways. So, I guess that's what Brock gets for trying to rock the boat. After traversing Mount Moon, I make it to Cerulean City and take on the rival Bubs, but Pudgeotto's sand attack was being very annoying. So instead, I decided to try to take out the Cerulean Gym Leader Misty, so we could upgrade our Water Gun with the TM for Bubble Beam. Our Water Gun doesn't do that much damage to her Pokemon, so instead I used the TM that Brock gave us for Bide. Lapras is bulky enough to tank tackles all day, and then deal back double the damage dealt after the end of the Bide period. So I guess you could say she Misty Boat on that one? Look, my jokes are either hilarious or completely terrible. There's no in-boat-tween. With Misty behind us and even fewer subscribers than when I started this video, I teach Lapras the TM for Bubble Beam and head to take on Bubs once again. Bubble Beam is over 50% stronger than Water Gun, and it's a pretty strong move for this early in the game. It helps us to quickly take out the rival's lead Pudgeotto, especially after we put it to sleep with Sing, which is a great move because sleep as a status is completely broken in this game, and the only downside is that it's really inaccurate. 55% actually. Sing lets us put troublesome opponents like the Bulbasaur to sleep, even if it does like to miss, and even if they do wake up on the first turn, but I mean, what are you gonna do? Honestly. Sail la vie. After beating Bubs' Bulbasaur, we hop aboard the SS Anne to take on the rival Bubs for another back-to-back Bubs battle. And aboard the boat, I pick up the TM for Body Slam and teach it to Lapras. It's one of the best normal moves in this game, and while Lapras is primarily a special attacker, it does have 85 base attack. And that's a lot better than most of the Pokemon that we use in these challenges, so Body Slam's a pretty great move. Dang, and just look at Lapras go! What an absolute unit! cleaving through Bubs' Pokemon, and not even Ivysaur's Vine Whip can do much damage. And with Bubs beat, we get the cut HM from the ship captain after rubbing his back and healing his upset stomach. Or as I like to call it, a tummy wake. Now that we can use cut outside of battle, it's time to take on Lieutenant Surge at the Vermilion City Gym. But this is easier said than done. Despite our higher level, Surge's Pokemon are electric types, and Lapras is weak to their electric attacks. Voltorb, well, doesn't have any, but Pikachu does, and its Thundershock even paralyzes our Lapras. And then Raichu hits hard with Thundershock as we're fully paralyzed, and while we somehow manage to survive a Thunderbolt and get a critical hit with Body Slam, Raichu survives, so we can't win. Unless Surge uses an X-Speed. Okay, totally makes sense. What a dingy-dong. After crawling through the darkened rock tunnel, I arrive in Lavender Town to take on the rival Bubs in the Pokemon Tower. And I could have slipped on over to Celadon City first to grab the TM for Ice Beam, which would have helped with Pokemon like Pidgeotto and Ivysaur and, well, Bubs' newest member Gyarados, but it turns out we don't really need it. Lapras is so heckin' strong that we just plow through his entire team anyways. And to add insult to injury, against the Ivysaur, we even get the first turn paralysis to boot. Jeez, Lapras, that sure was aggressive. No need to submarine out Bubs' neck. Okay. Before leaving the Pokemon Tower, I pay my respects to Bubs' dignity, and then I head to the Celadon City Gym to take on Erica, the Grass Gym Leader. I went ahead and grabbed that TM for Ice Beam I was talking about and taught it to Lapras. And it's gonna crush Erica's grass types. As long as we don't get put to sleep. Okay, that's, cool. As long as we wake up, we can still win or get crushed by Razor Leaf. Thanks, Victory Bell. That was not a cool thing to do. On the very next try, though, things go a lot better. First of all, Victory Bell misses Sleep Powder, and then Lapras freezes it with Ice Beam. That's super cool and fun and all. And then we slam the Tangela, which has terrible special. And finally, the Vileplume meets its Vile Doom when Ice Beam lands a critical hit. And this has got to be one of the easiest battles versus Erica, where the Pokemon we're using was weak to grass moves. And yeah, I know that we totally kind of lost the first battle, and that's besides the point, because it was totally intentional. That's right. All a port of my plan. After beating Erica, I head to the game corner to take on Giovanni in the Team Rocket hideout. And talk about a completely free battle. This Dippy-Doo never stood a chance. I honestly considered skipping this battle, using the Pokédoll glitch at the Pokemon Tower to bypass the Marowak without needing the Silph Scope, just so I'd keep Lapras' level a little lower, but in the end, I decided against it. And, also unrelated, but I'm pretty sure that if Team Rocket is in charge at this particular establishment, then the game quarter must be embezzling funds in an offshore account. You know, probably hidden in an escrow boat? I don't know, I'm not a financial advisor. Now it's time to take on Koga at the Fuchsia City Gym. Before heading into the gym, I made sure to head to the Safari Zone and get the HM for Surf. HMs are a little dicey to use in challenge runs of Pokemon Red since you can't delete them, but just look at the power of Surf. Koga's Pokemon are pretty bulky, and Surf is doing big boy damage. Surf and Ice Beam are equally strong, so it's really a matter of which move hits better in terms of coverage. And if there's no type advantage, why not just fish for freezes with Ice Beam? It's a low probability for a freeze though, so it seldom happens. With the ability to surf outside of battle, I decide to head to the Cinnabar Island Gym to take on the Fire-type Gym Leader Blaine. I mean, really, I just wanted to get the Volcano Badges boost to our special stat, plus I figure the Fire Gym can't be that hard, right? Well, things get a little dicey when the Rapidash comes out and starts to lock us in with Fire Spin. Yeah, which isn't very strong, but you get hit enough times with anything, and it's gonna start adding up. Eventually, Fire Spin misses and we hit it with Surf. And Blaine uses a Super Potion, so we get to finish it off before getting locked in again by Fire Spin. Arcanine comes out and Ember brings us low as Surf does a little over half. And then Lapras hangs on from another Ember to barely eke out a victory after more of Blaine's Super Potion shenanigans. And, whew, that was close. Things almost took a turn for the worst. After beating Blaine, I head back to Saffron City for yet another rival battle with Bubs in the Silph Company building. And now we got all the badges in this game that boost your stats, so every time our stats are modified in battle, the boosts to our stats from those badges are reapplied. We don't have any moves to trigger this effect ourselves, but it does trigger when Gyarados lowers our defense with Leer. So all of our stats get boosted, but unfortunately, these boosts get reset if we level up during the battle, like what just happened here. But that's okay. We can get through the rest of this battle just fine, I guess. We're taking Alakazam's attacks, alright. The Venusaur's got that pesky Razor Leaf I was so worried about at the beginning of this video. And it can miss. But when it hits, oh boy, does it hit. Alright, let's try this one more time. This time, we get a much better move selection, and Lapras manages to take down the prehistoric plant. And, glad I decided to just keep resetting rather than mindlessly level up, even though I know a bunch of people in the comments want me to do just that. But I won't give in. After all, I'm not one to sink under peer pressure. Do you get it? Lapras is a boat! After beating Bubs, I'm really worried about the battle with Giovanni. Nah, he sucks just as bad as the last time. So, instead of the battle, maybe I should talk about something else. Hey, I went to Japan. I mean, that's pretty neat, right? I'm gonna go hunt myself a real-life Pikachu. I don't know what normal people say. Unfortunately, I didn't take a Lapras to get there. The reality was much less glamorous, and it rhymes with Schmerican Schmerlines. Sorry, I should probably get back to the video. I wouldn't want to spend too much time rambling and end up with everyone being overboard. Since we're already in town, I decide to try to take on the Psychic Gym leader Sabrina at the Saffron City Gym. Sabrina's Psychic-type Pokemon have lower defense, so I decide the best way to fight her is to spam Body Slam until those hams clam up. Oh ma'am, and I guess she had an inkling as to what I was thinkling, because she spends a lot of her time during this battle boosting her defense stat. Mr. Mime raises its defense with Barrier, but alright, we take it down eventually. And then we get paralyzed by Venomoth's Stun Spore. Cool, I guess. After which, the Alakazam boosts its defense with Reflect. Body Slam paralyzes Alakazam, though, and at one point, we both are fully paralyzed on the same turn. But, in the end, we squeak out the win, because Lapras is a survivor, come hull or high water. Now it's time for the final showdown with Giovanni for our final gym badge, and this battle comes down to one thing. Having enough BP. Yeah, Surf and Ice Beam are a 1 KO against each of Giovanni's Pokemon, so as long as I don't fall asleep during the battle, we have no way of losing. I have been burning the midnight oil pretty hard at work recently, so it actually was difficult to stay awake during this battle, especially when I have to do most of these very late at night. Well, at least we did our civic duty by breaking up Team Rocket. After all, they've been completely lost ever since Giovanni catamaran out of town. Yeah, it turns out there's a lot more different kinds of boats than you realize. Before we can take on the Elite Four, we have to battle the rival Bubs once again. And this one was very frustrating. We're at a low level, which is crazy cool because we're showcasing how strong Lapras is, but it also means that we take less experience to level up and can't avoid during the battle. And we really need a badge boost to speed from Gyarados' Leer in order to move before the Venusaur. And we repeatedly get the Leer to badge boost our speed, but level up right afterwards, meaning that by the time we make it to the Venusaur, we're vulnerable to critical hit Razor Leafs. After a few failed attempts, I battle a few wild Pokemon to manipulate our experience so that we won't level up until right before the Gyarados. But even so, we need to get several Leers in order to outspeed the Venusaur, which rarely happens. Well, if it uses Vine Whip, we're fine. As long as it doesn't critical hit, which it does. Starting to think I've bitten off more than I can chew. Oh hey, check it out! A few tries later and we make it to the Venusaur for an attempt where it doesn't use Razor Leaf. And this time, the Vine Whip does not critical hit, just like the good Lord intended. And I know waiting for a random move choice just to win a battle seems like a pretty luck-based strategy, but hey, it was bound to happen sooner or later. Alright, it's time to take on the Elite Four. But first, here are the stats and moves. Everything is pretty great besides the speed, and don't forget, we're only level 45. This is a significantly lower level than most of the Pokemon that we use in these challenges. Besides the stats, I decided to switch up the moveset a skosh. Body Slam has been great, but it's going to be difficult to get past Lorelei's team without super effective coverage, so I've replaced Body Slam with Thunderbolt. Yeah, it gets that move. Lapras has got a fancy new move and is feeling frisky, or as I like to call it, canoe move goofin'. Alright, speaking of Lorelei, she's up first and she also has a Lapras. I wonder which one will prove superior, but first we must vanquish the Dugong. It's bulky and likes to repeatedly heal with rest, but thankfully Thunderbolt is a clean to a KO. Cloyster has not so great special, so it's also pretty easy to take down. Besides the fact that Supersonic made us slap ourselves in the friggin' melon for over half of our health, but whatever. Slowbro can boost its special with Amnesia, but not if we fully paralyze it with Thunderbolt, so yeah, that's a thing that can happen too. We don't have super effective coverage against the Jinx, but all it does is just a little slamming and a little slippy slapping, so no harm, no foul. And in the end, it comes down to a Lapras v Lapras showdown. And we're left low and given one more chance to attack, but we have to win the confusion coin flip, and we got it! Yeah! Well, glad I didn't have to reset and try that again, because that would have just been keeling time. It's the bottom fin of a boat. With Lorelei defeated, it's time to take on Bruno. And this one should be pretty easy. He never gives trouble, and Lapras has been kind of crushing it. Alright, well, Onix and Hitmonchan both go down in a single surf, and the poor Hitmonlee lands a critical hit high jump kick. A super effective, most powerful fighting move in the game kind of critical hit high jump kick. Wow, okay. I really enjoyed that new technique, Bruno. Foot to face style. Sure was a yada fun. Oh god, I can't believe I have to say this, but let's try the Bruno battle one more time. Yay! Alright, this time around, when I get to the Hitmonlee, I try to put it to sleep with Sing as Bruno goes for an X defend, but we miss! Hooray! But Bruno doesn't miss high jump kick, which does a crap ton, and we finally hit it with a Sing and take out the Hitmonlee. But now I'm pretty worried about the Machamp's submission, which is super effective and will definitely take us out. But hey, turns out we actually outspeed Machamp and get to put it to sleep before submission can come out. Cool. And I know Machamp isn't fast, but still, I did not expect Lapras to move first. So, we've won the battle, but if we struggled against Bruno, I can only imagine what fresh helm awaits. Now it's time for the Elite Four member Agatha. And Agatha's team is incredibly annoying. Not only because she spams frustrating status moves, but her ghosts have high special, so they can tank our special attacks. We managed to get past the Gengar unscathed, but the Golbat removes all of her badge boosts with the move Haze, which you can see allows it to barely hang on from an Ice Beam. We miss a bunch of Sings against her Haunter and get confused for our troubles. She switches out and we take a bunch of damage from Arbok before taking it out, and while we also manage to take down the Haunter, we are dangerously low on health. Okay, just need to land a Sing on Gengar, so whatever you do, don't use Nightshade! Yeah, Nightshade. Oh, Agatha! She's the worst. Truly evil. The antagonist. Like a Disney Navolin. I used some of our rare candies to try to level the playing field a bit and turn some of these 3-hit KOs into 2-hit KOs, and some of these 2-hit KOs into 1-hit KOs. But after a critical hit from Arbok, the only thing that got 1-hit KO'd was my dignity. Planks for nothing, Agatha. Okay, so after a couple more tries, I managed to finally get past all of these aggravating astral antagonists to get to the final Pokemon, Gengar. We get hit with Toxic and Confused, and this thing takes our attacks so well, we waste enough turns with Confusion, and she stalls with Super Potions for long enough that Toxic gets precariously close to plummeting all of our hit points. Which would be the dumbest way to lose. A late game Toxic. A late game Toxic. Seriously, why doesn't your first Gengar use that move instead? It would have way more time to build up poison damage. It makes no sense. Like sacrificing your queen just to capture a pontoon. Next up is the final Elite Four member, Lance the Dragon Master. And he might honestly be the easiest of all the Elite Four members for Lapras to defeat. We have super effective moves for Lance's entire team, and 2 of his Pokemon, we even have double super effective damage on them. Plus, even after the handful of rare candies that we used for the battle against Agatha, we're still pretty lowly leveled for this battle with Lance. So yeah, Lapras continues to impress. Hey, I guess you could say we're Loch Nessed to impress? Yeah, I know. That one was terrible. I can already hear your capsize. Finally, it's time to take on the champion, our rival Bubs. It would be so cool if Lapras could beat Bubs here without having to use more rare candies, which would cement it as one of the best Pokemon from any of these challenges. Well, that might be a tall order. Pidgeot goes down easy, but Alakazam is pretty tricky. If I can't put it to sleep early, we get hit with powerful Psychics, which also have a 1/3 chance to lower our special, at which point, the battle's basically over. I tried this several times and got wrecked by the Alakazam thanks to those fun little special drops, which means we take more damage while dealing less damage from and with special attacks. But I did get past it here thanks to a critical hit, which ignores stat changes, like that special drop. Still, Lapras doesn't have enough health left over to withstand a Hyper Beam from Gyarados. Well, maybe it could have had it not been a critical hit. Okay, shouldn't let it get to me. After all, you know how the saying goes. Don't look back in anger. A half a dozen tries later, I managed to get past the Gyarados while not having received a special drop from Alakazam's Psychic. Gyarados and Arcanine both go down in a single hit, and we level up right before the Venusaur. Boy, I sure hope we don't get hit by Razor Leaf to be 1-hit KO'd. We use Solar Beam! And we land a saying to put it to sleep! Well, that's it, that's the battle, that's it! Haha! Take that, Bubs! Idiot! Loser! Nerd! Haha! You tried to sink my battleship. But in the end, it looks like it was I who had the last raft. And with that, the challenge is over. Lapras did about as well as I expected, and yeah, it's got pretty good stats, besides the speed. And while the speed did get us into trouble a few times, it all worked out in the end. And that's the thing about boats. Things can get rocky, but they always balance out in the end. Or as I like to call it, conservation of mast. As always, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can check out the rest of my Pokemon Challenge videos if you want to see those as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member or joining on Patreon. And let me know in the comments what other Pokemon you want to see, and I'll probably do it. Next time, I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Crystal using only baby Pokemon. Should be fun. Alright, until then,